How do you run for judge? If that's what you want to know, you're in the right place, because that's why I'm here. I'm going to tell you how to do it, and I'm probably going to save you a lot of time and money, so stay with me. 3 things we're going to cover in this video. Number 1 is essential: where to find the rules that govern the kind of campaign you are allowed to run. Then we're going to talk about the fundamentals of putting together a campaign. And the 3rd thing we're going to talk about is how you craft a winning strategy. I mentioned the importance of rules. Well, here's something I can't tell you at this point. I don't know what the rules are that affect you without knowing the kind of judgeship you are running for. Is it a family court judge? A state Supreme Court judge? Is it a state appellate judge, a municipal judge, a criminal court judge, a county judge, or a local judge? All right, now here's why I mention this, is rules governing the campaigns vary not only by the kind of judgeship you are seeking, but where you are seeking it. So there are 2 places to find these rules. One is go to the website of the authority on establishing the rules and look at what they have to say. That would either be your state government or your city government or your local county government. Number 2 is talk to the people who've done it before, because they probably have some idea of the rules that they had to abide. There's a 3rd option if you come up short with both those. It's called ChatGPT. Now, I don't rely on it for truth, because sometimes GPT makes mistakes. But last week, I went to GPT and I said, tell me the rules about how to get on the ballot in the state of Arizona if I'm running for this office in this year. You know what? It gave me a pretty good answer. But furthermore, with the sources that were cited, I could tell who the real authority was on that, and I was able to check the right government website. So that's item number 1. Item number 2 is there are an additional set of rules that you will have to abide. You're running, you have to get your name on the ballot. And that can be easy, and it can be very complicated. But if you don't submit your signatures and your petitions or pay your filing fee, you will not be on the ballot. So that's why you check those rules. In certain jurisdictions, judicial races are either partisan, but in others they are nonpartisan. That affects your strategy, so make sure you know, do you get to put a party line next to your name if you get a nomination, or is it just going to be your name with no party designation on the ballot? Here's another one that trips some judicial candidates. There are rules about financial disclosure, things that you have to file with the authorities about your assets and your liabilities. There are rules about how you can raise money. In fact, I was a few years ago involved in a judicial race where the candidate was not allowed to know who had given him money. Go figure. I don't know how they enforce that, but that was a bizarre rule with which we had to comply. So the 2nd point, know the rules. And if you can't get them from the websites of various government entities, talk to people who've done it before, or as a last resort, go to ChatGPT until you get straight answers. Because here's the bottom line: if you violate any of these rules, your campaign is over. Oh, by the way, if you're seriously considering running soon, I suggest you download my free ebook, 12 Essential Steps to Preparing for a Political Campaign. It's in the link below this video. Okay, now that we have this rule stuff out of the way, and I did mention it because it's important, let's get to the fun part: putting together a campaign. The first item on your agenda is figuring out the math of your campaign. You look at past elections. You look at the number of people who voted in elections like yours. You look at the demographics of the electorate, their party affiliation, their income, their net worth, their ethnicity, their race, and you put together a target list of those who, number one, will never vote for you, or number two, could vote for you if they're probably persuaded, and number three, those likely to vote for you if you get them out to vote. Now that said, once you have isolated that group of people who will probably never vote for you, throw it away. Don't spend any money trying to reach them, because that's a waste of your resources. So number one, start with targeting. Now, if you have no idea where to find this sort of thing, put your question in the comments section and I'll tell you a good place to go get it. Second piece of putting together a campaign is, what is your message? Why should people vote for you? What can you tell them to let them know that you are going to be fair, that you are going to do your job, that you're not going to decide cases on the basis of politics, that you're going to abide the law, that you have some sort of judicial philosophy that will guide you in the decisions that you make. Now here's the rub you get into sometimes. There are certain jurisdictions that limit what you're allowed to say about cases that maybe come before the bench. You're not allowed to talk about that in certain jurisdictions. You're not allowed to say that you are always going to rule for a pro-life plaintiff in a case against a pro-choice defendant. Those are out of bounds and you will get your hand slapped. So the messaging in a judicial race does sometimes get confining. You can talk about your background, you can talk about your qualifications, you can talk about the values that guide your decisions, you can tell stories about your past and how it formed your judicial philosophy and how much you love serving people, but you're not allowed to say too much about how you're going to rule on cases. So that's the essence of your message. Your biography, your qualifications, your motivation for running, the moral code that guides the decisions that you will make, your view of what the law is and should be. That's the content you're generally allowed to use in a judicial race. Third point here is about advertising. Now, if you live in a really small jurisdiction where you can knock on the doors of everybody who's going to vote, okay, go win the race that way. But most judicial candidates have to rely on advertising. Could be cable TV, over-the-top TV, connected TV, even commercial television, recently used in a Supreme Court race in Pennsylvania. It could be digital advertising. It could be social media advertising, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It could be persuasion mail. It could even be radio. So all of this is an adroit mix of means of getting information to voters that you have to piece together, and that is a major component of your campaign. Your targeting, your message, and how you are going to disseminate that message to the people who are eligible to vote for you. Which leads me to this. If you've never done this before, where do you find help? Finding help to know what the rules are, finding help to get on the ballot, finding help to raise money, finding help with targeting and strategy and advertising and messaging. Talk to people who've done this before, who've run campaigns before, maybe been elected before, have been through this. They know the rudiments and fundamentals of putting a campaign together. There are consultants in this world that specialize in helping judicial candidates win elections. Talk to the people who may have used consultants and ask which ones the good ones were. Talk to party leaders, because quite often they have helped screen and vet judicial candidates who've run before. They're familiar with the political apparatus in their states or jurisdictions, and they quite often know of people who can help with this. What I will tell you is this: if you've never done before and you try it on your own without any help, you may get tripped. So find help. If you're doing something you've never done before, go to people who have done it before, because they know more about it than you do. Now, if you're serious about running for office and putting together a judicial campaign, there's a link below this video called How to Run for Office 7 Essential Steps. Go watch it while this information is fresh in your mind.